Oh, hey everybody, it's Dr. G. I'm here with my friend Greg Moran. Greg is an amazing person. Such a treat to have you here, Greg. Greg is the founder of True Health Awakening, and you're in California. Whereabouts in California are you again?
So I'm in San Diego, California at the
Okay,
moment.
great. And also has an online outreach, so people can reach out to Greg and get his amazing gifts and training and teaching, whether even if you're not in San Diego. And so I'm so treated to have you here. Greg, tell me a little bit about your journey, if you don't mind. Can we start? I mean, that's always fun to hear about people's journey.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thank you for having me on, Dr. Goggin. It's amazing to speak with you again and to see you again. And yeah, my journey started, this healing journey started around 2014 or so, when I started to notice that I was having gastrointestinal abnormalities. And over the course of a year, they progressively got worse and worse and worse, to the point where I didn't know what was going on at the time, but I was having 20 to 30, like what I called urgency attacks throughout the day. Lots of pretty much constant pain, lots of blood, really, really uncomfortable, and really poor quality of life. And when it finally got diagnosed, it got diagnosed as ulcerative colitis. And so once I had received that diagnosis, I then at least knew what it was. And so that gave me an opportunity to kind of begin to research different alternative healing practices, because what the doctors told me in my initial colonoscopy was that there's nothing you can do about this. This is the rest of your life. Take your pills and get used to it. And something within me was like, that can't be right.
That does not compute, right?
Yeah.
This is, you guys, following your intuition is so important.
Absolutely. And so something deep inside me was like, no, that's not true. And so over the course of the next couple of years, just went on this really amazing healing journey that kind of transformed my entire life, through completely switching up my diet. For the ulcerative colitis, I began to employ the specific carbohydrate diet, which is designed for ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, and began to see improvements over the following year after strictly following that diet. I also began to get into yoga and meditation at this time, began receiving acupuncture and chiropractic adjustments, massage, beginning to work with and understand more of the kind of energy body from that Eastern medicine perspective. And then at the end of, I believe it was 2017, came across cannabis oil, or Rick Simpson oil, and decided to do a 3-month treatment. Taught myself how to make the oil, because it's not something that you can get in stores. And so over the following 3 months, made this oil, took this oil, and by the end of those 3 months, my physical symptoms of the ulcerative colitis were pretty much completely gone. My body had returned to a state of health that was better than it was before I became ill. And one thing that the cannabis oil really showed me was that what underlied the physical disease was a lot of these kind of psycho-emotional patterns and behaviors and kind of wounds and traumas from my past that I had never dealt with. And that it was these deeper layers that eventually manifested as the physical illness. And so since that time, right after that treatment was when I found you, Dr. Goggin, and began seeing you. And what you opened the doors up for me to realize was that so much of what was going on the physical level was kind of over toxicity in the body at the cellular level. And so working with you, working with Dr. Nathan, beginning this treatment to kind of cleanse and detox the body from molds, mycotoxins, heavy metals, and all sorts of these environmental toxins that we're exposed to. And so it's really interesting that on on the physical level, that was likely the underlying cause of the physiology of the disease manifesting, was the inability to let go of these toxins and these heavy metals and things like that. And then on the kind of psycho-emotional layers, it was the inability to let go of the kind of charge surrounding these past wounds and traumas and things like that. And so it's this beautiful kind of synchronicity of both of those playing out on the different levels of being.
That's so wonderful. Well, I think that, conventional medicine, it really doesn't teach us how trauma and wounds from childhood, even earlier, like stuff that happened to our mom when we were in utero, and generational trauma affects us, how our DNA is working today, like what proteins we make. It affects us biologically. So this is so cool. I'm excited to be able to talk with you. And so you guys, we're going to give you some tools that you can use to help on your healing journey. So by the end of this little discussion, Greg has got some pearls. So make sure you listen for these pearls. Part of it is in your philosophy. I know you have a unique philosophy when you're approaching your coaching clients, your breathwork clients. You want to speak a little bit to how when you start to see someone, what are you thinking about and what are you teaching?
Yeah, thank you for that. So when I am working with clients, either in the breathwork space or the coaching space, really my role is not necessarily to teach anyone or to heal anybody, but to kind of be that clear mirror to then reflect to them what it is that is within them that is maybe not being met. And in meeting that, that's where the power within is kind of realized. And so like just allowing myself to be kind of a clear channel and a mirror to that other person, just reflecting back to them their own power, their own inner healer, and beginning to kind of provide them with the tools and the resources and the experiences to be able to deepen into that inner healer and awaken that within them.
Cool. So you're helping people mine the gold within themselves, kind of like.
Yeah. That's one way of looking at it. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Nice. Well, so now I know, Greg, you do larger groups, you do one-on-one. When somebody comes to you and they come into the fold, how do most people find you? Are they finding you through like online or in some of the groups you're doing live? What's the path to you right these days?
So a lot of my clients come through the in-person containers here in San Diego. I do a lot of I'm a breathwork facilitator these days, and that's kind of my main offering, and the coaching is something that I do online. But the breathwork is really my main passion. And so in the breathwork journeys, I host a number of them throughout San Diego on a pretty regular basis. And so a lot of times it's either word of mouth or promotion from the whatever studio or space that I'm hosting the event at. And then just through word of mouth, through collaborating with different sound healers and energy healers for these events, just bringing in a wider range of people into the space and allowing them to experience this style of breathwork that I facilitate that allows them to go deep into their subconscious and into those deeper layers of themselves and allow the breath to kind of reveal these hidden layers that they have maybe suppressed or repressed or didn't even know about in the first place. And in doing that, really begin to do deep healing work on their own, allowing their own body to kind of smooth out that energy and cleanse that energy and awaken within them this presence and this like deeper love.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, it makes me think of, I've done some of Joe Dispenza's training. I know you and I have talked about that before. And the transformation, you guys, that's possible with breath work and meditation, it turns genes on and off. And so like when you come into like a weekend retreat with someone, if they checked what genes were turned on, like by using a methylation panel or something like that, and then checked it at the end, there would be a huge change in, inflammatory genes and cancer suppressor genes. So what a beautiful vehicle for you to be bringing to people. And I'm curious about your style. I know it's a little different than holotropic breath work. Tell us a little bit about the breath work itself, if you could.
Yeah, so breathwork these days is kind of this umbrella term that encapsulates lots of different breathing styles. I know the Wim Hof one is very popular. Joe Dispenza definitely has his kind of version of breathwork. And there's a lot of different ones out there. And so the breathwork that I train under is called the Sacred Breath Academy.
Okay.
And I teach the sacred breath method, or facilitate the sacred breath method. And it's similar to holotropic, but there's a key difference in that it uses a nose inhale and a mouth exhale. And so we're taking full diaphragmatic breaths in through the nose, filling up the belly, the chest, filling our full diaphragm, and then exhaling fully through the mouth. And doing that for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then leaving roughly 30 minutes or so for just integration and shavasana and rest. But what breathing through the nose does, which is really, really powerful, is that it activates the parasympathetic nervous system receptors in the base of the lungs. And so the parasympathetic nervous system is known as the rest, digest, and restore nervous system. And when it comes online, that's when the body really begins to do its deepest healing work. And so usually it's active when we're in deep states of sleep, which it's fairly known that is when the body is doing the most of its healing and restoration. And so by activating that in the breathwork space, you're turning that piece of you on, that parasympathetic nervous system on, allowing your body to be flooded with these hormones of safety and peace and rest. And really it's in those spaces where you feel safe that you can then begin to unwind and unravel those deeper layers that are usually all walled up behind the armor of the sympathetic fight or flight response. And
that's
so
powerful. Yeah, sorry to keep going.
And so as the body begins to unwind in the parasympathetic state, what's happening in the brain waves is that you're shifting from a beta brainwave, which is kind of the everyday waking consciousness where the monkey mind is always chattering away, and begin to shift into an alpha state, which is akin to a light trance, and then eventually into a theta state, which is that deep sleep, kind of hypnotic, shamanic trance state. And it's in that deeper state, that's kind of the dream time state that you enter into in deep sleep as well. And so because you're going into it consciously, you're able to access that subconscious material using your conscious awareness. And that's where so many powerful reclamations and healings and activations happen in the breathwork spaces. And so it blows my mind every single time I host a journey, just hearing people's experiences in the sharing circles at the end of just what they were actually able to access in the space and what they received from really themselves, their own breath.
Wow, it's amazing. And, looking at people's brain waves, right, and following them when they're doing breath work. Another, like bringing up Joe Dispenza again in his book, showing people transitioning into the gamma brainwave state, particularly when they're having, what feels like super lucid dreaming type experiences. And, in that space, like you're saying, you're accessing, I feel like you're accessing super intelligence, like the intelligence of the universe when we go into that space. And when we think about spontaneous healing, spontaneous regressions, there's many layers, but you can train yourself to be able to do that more easily, like with someone like Greg, who leads you through journeys, and then you begin to be able to do this yourself. And the more we can access those deeper levels of brain states, with conscious deliberation, and then be able to be free in that space, because I think people can sometimes get a little scared by those experiences. Isn't that true? That, or maybe but sometimes it's surprising. They don't expect it, right? I'm just breathing. How could this be happening? But the more you have a guide like Greg, that can have a trained person to take you through, it makes it much like you expect the journey, and you're in control of the journey. So yeah, so an aside, but that's very, very cool. Well, what else would you say if there were important points you wanted to tell somebody on their healing journey? What are those pearls that and tools that we can give people?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that I kind of focus on, whether it's in breath work or coaching or really anything that I'm doing, is tuning into that parasympathetic response and learning how to activate it, not only in breath work, but through different embodiment practices as well. And in allowing yourself to tap into that, once again, you create those feelings of safety and peace in the body, which then allows you to let down those walls and that armor. And it's when we are able to do that really powerful healings can happen, even if it's not necessarily the spontaneous healing like you were talking about. But that's a really fascinating subject, and I love talking about that subject as well. But in general, when we let these walls down and allow ourselves to just be in our full authentic expression, that is where so much healing happens, because we realize that the stuff that we've been carrying for so long, we don't really need to carry it. We don't need to shame it. We don't need to tuck it away in some corner of our mind. Like, in allowing it to be seen, we allow it to be healed. And one of the biggest things that I've discovered through my own healing journey is that healing is not necessarily healing the physical body or kind of doing that. That's certainly an aspect of it. But what true healing is reconnecting with self. And so reconnecting with all those different parts of yourself, and then allowing that to be reflected in the connections you make with your community around you, with the world around you. And just having that authentic connection is such a powerful part of the healing journey.
Right. How do we reconnect with self? And that original self, right? That untarnished, like the little bit of diamond that's deep within us. How do we reconnect with that? Well, and it's interesting, people who are trying to heal from toxicity or from complex medical illness, one of the biggest things they have to do is get out of fight or flight, right? To get into the parasympathetic. And it's oftentimes the first thing that folks have to do before we can even do treatment, because their body is in this state of fear, right? And they're also don't even really want to be in their body, because it's almost as though their body is betraying them, because they're chemically sensitive, they food sensitive, so many of these issues. And so doing this kind of work with someone like Greg, it is very valuable for those who are suffering from complex medical illness, Lyme disease, mold, toxicity. And I'd urge you guys to so we have to get in touch with ourselves, but you got to get in touch with somebody like Greg so to help us, right? I mean, it's life is easier when we have people to guide us, people we can trust. And that's one thing. I've known you for a while now, and I've always just felt like you're just a cool person that I would like to get to know more. We've always had some great discussions whenever we would meet. And it's exciting to see you just totally bloom and where you've been planted down in San Diego. So, we talked about maybe doing a little bit for us. Could we do that now, or is there some other gems that we want to give?
Yeah, we can definitely do a breathing practice.
Okay.
And then before I do that, I just want to touch on one other thing. And this is kind of what I tell a lot of people, that I guide in the coaching spaces and the breathwork spaces is that like I'm just here to remind you of the power that you already hold within. And so one thing that I like to tell people is that your body holds all the answers. In my healing journey, as I was moving through the ulcerative colitis and healing that, the piece that came to me there was Mother Nature provides all that we need. And it wasn't until I encountered breath work that I truly realized how powerful our bodies were and how powerful Mother Nature like designed us in this way. And so Mother Nature provides everything that we need. Your body holds all the answers and your breath is the key. And so when you begin to tune into the breath, it doesn't necessarily have to be a full breath work journey, because if people are in chronic states of illness, they may not be able to really take that full journey just because of the physical state of their body. But like you said, tuning into that parasympathetic nervous system is the first step to really allowing yourself to enter into those healing energies. And so there are a number of different breathing practices that allow you to access that parasympathetic state relatively quickly too. And so that's something that I also focus on. I'm currently working on a program called 30 Days of Breath Connection that's just focused around different breathing practices and tools like that you can do throughout the day. Some of them are 5 minutes to 15 minutes, and it's just designed to allow you to connect to your breath, to experience different states that you're able to access through using different breath techniques. And some of the biggest ones are just being able to calm your body, alleviate stress, and bring yourself back into a place of kind of centered safety and balance.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's really powerful. And it's been really fun creating this course and just doing the different breathing practices and just sharing them with people and showing them to people.
Can we put the link to that below? Well, if it's not completed, when is completed below the video, if people can register for that course. I know that people find it interesting, so we can share the link below this video.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll share the link with you once it's fully published.
Nice. Well, you mentioned how this style of breath work is inhales through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And when I've tried to do breath work, which is all in and out through the nose, something weird happens, and like my eye pooches, like I get a little puff in my eye, and it's much more comfortable for me to breathe out through my mouth. There's something about my anatomy up here, but so I'm excited about this, using the mouth to exhale, because that's naturally what my body seems to want to do. I know that there's benefit, and you guys, if you aren't breathing through your nose most of the time, this is really important guidance. That what he's mentioned about activating the parasympathetic, if we're breathing through our mouths like this, right, as though we were running, some people who are clogged, we need to clear that out somehow, because many medical conditions that are involved, things like your heart, are going to be exacerbated if you're breathing through your mouth all the time. So at night, we want to shut our mouth and breathe through our nose, and during the day, breathe through our nose. Okay. I digress. Okay. Yay.
No, I love this topic. I love the nose breathing topic. And if one of my favorite resources on this is Breath by James Nestor.
I was going to say, yeah, great.
Yeah, that book is one of my favorite books. And it's amazing in that book just how he discusses how breathing through the nose has, alleviated and I don't know if I can say cured or healed, but like a lot of chronic illnesses and disease have disappeared through simply just engaging nose breathing as opposed to mouth breathing. Because what's happening on the nervous system level is breathing through the mouth. Chances are the air is only going into the upper portions of your lungs, and they're very shallow breaths. And in the upper portions of your lungs is where the sympathetic nervous system receptors lie. So by breathing through your mouth, you're consistently activating that sympathetic nervous system. And so you're keeping your body in either low or high grades of stress or states of stress. And so by engaging the nose and just making that simple shift, your health immediately will begin to change. Your nervous system changes. Your face morphology changes. It's really, really fascinating, just the shifts that occur through making that little transition there.
And, I want to add something to the other thing that people don't think about that's unconscious is our posture, which changes how we breathe. When we've got text neck, it really changes how easy it is for you to get a full breath in and to move your diaphragm, because part of what, people talk about diaphragmatic breathing. Well, that muscle down there at the bottom of your lungs, it has to go like this, like a bellow, in order for you to, that's what your diaphragm does. It goes down and you suck in air into your lungs. But when we're breathing all up here, our diaphragm can stay in one place and we don't activate it. And it's the diaphragm that really is the key that will help you more easily activate your parasympathetic. This is really neat. Do you want to, okay, do we have more tips do we need to give, or are we going to try and do a little breathing?
At the moment, I could talk about this stuff all day, but we can move into the breathing technique.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and so just a little bit on this breath before we actually go into this short practice is this is something that was talked about in James Nestor's book Breath. He termed it or coined it the perfect breath, and it's this breath that essentially is inhaling for 5.5 seconds. Exhaling for 5.5 seconds, inhaling for 5.5 seconds, exhaling for 5.5 seconds. And in breathing in that way, you take about 5.5 breaths per minute and engage about 5.5 liters of air. So once again, it's this beautiful synchronicity of numbers. And he talks about it in the book, how when scientists began to study, like this was discovered because scientists began to study these ancient cultures that do mantras, like in the Eastern traditions, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, they have these mantras that they chant. In the Western world, it's kind of the Egyptian or the like African prayers, Egyptian prayers, the Latin rosary, all of these different things. Scientists began to study the traditional way of these prayers, and what they found is that every time there's about a 5.5 second inhale followed by 5.5 seconds of either chanting or prayer, and that they would do this for however long their ritual was, their ceremony was, and that it would allow people to access these really powerful transcendental states where they felt like they were in contact with the divine. And so a number of different things happen in engaging this perfect breath of 5.5 seconds in and out, is that the heart rate variability comes into maximum coherence. And so it's also known as resonant breathing, because when the heart comes into coherence, it harmonizes the brain waves and the nervous system. And so the entire body's communication system comes online in its most efficient way.
That's just so cool. And that heart rate variability, you guys, really does affect. I mean, it's a sign that your heart is in a relaxed state, or the resonant state. And, this is my question. So when I am doing like my meditation, I often find it feels good to make sound, right? It feels good to tone or to hum or to try and create some sort of sound. I guess that's people, of course, in ritual, like the sound bowls, the sound baths, those can be just beautiful. I would love to have somebody on that does sound baths. So if you know anybody, we have to get
yeah, I know a couple of people I could send your way.
Be great.
And yeah, just to quickly touch on that, like intoning or humming or making some sort of sound, what's happening there is that you're activating the vagus nerve. And so when the vagus nerve is activated, the body goes into, once again, those states of calm, coherence between the gut brain and the head brain.
Course.
And so it's just bringing it all into harmony.
So, well, that's really, really neat. I'm so excited.
Mhm.
Okay, so shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great.
All right, so taking a moment, beginning to close down the eyes if that feels comfortable. And just noticing your natural breath, the qualities and textures, and without trying to change or alter it in any way, just notice. Becoming aware of where in your body this breath goes, how deep or shallow the breath is, just noticing where you are in this moment. Are there any sensations or emotions alive within you right now? Just allowing them to be there. And on this next inhale, we're going to inhale through our nose, counting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale either through the nose or mouth. 3, 4, 5. Inhale through the nose. 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 3, 4, 5. And staying with this rhythm, counting in your head. Letting go of any thoughts that may arise and returning your awareness to your breath. Feeling your torso expand with each inhale, contract with each exhale, letting it go freely. Noticing if anything is shifting in the body, and feeling sensations or emotions arising. Just breathing into them, staying with this resonant breath. Continuing for about another minute. In through the nose for 5.5 seconds. Out through the mouth or the nose for 5.5 seconds. One continuous cycle. Taking 2 more breaths here. Last breath. And when you finish your exhale, just return once again to a natural breath. And just becoming aware of the qualities, the textures, the sensations of this natural breath. Noticing if anything has shifted in your body, in your mind. Noticing if anything has shifted in your resting breath. When you are ready, beginning to bring some gentle movement back to the body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, making any movements with the arms or the legs. And as you are ready, blinking open your eyes, coming back into this world.
Oh, what a treat. Well, one of the thoughts I had was that I want to breathe that way all the time.
Yes, that's something that when I become conscious of my breath too, I shift it more towards that kind of resonant breath, that perfect breath. And it's something that happens over time too. So it's not like you become aware of it and then expect it to automatically be that way forever. It's something that you engage in consistently, and the more that you do it, the more that your body attunes to that breath, and it becomes just your natural breath eventually.
Really like it. I think about using the Apollo Neuro wristband. Did you ever use the Apollo Neuro wristband?
No, I didn't.
Well, it's pretty neat. It vibrates, so it helps activate the parasympathetic on your wrist. And I wish they had a setting that was the breath. So like for 5.5 seconds, it would vibrate and you could be breathing in when it was vibrating and then you're exhaling, because I think an external reminder like that would help me to keep it going.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, something that's
and it's beautiful too, because like those guided breathing meditations and things like that you can listen to, and then it's just this practice of awareness throughout the day. And so we're obviously not conscious of our breath all the time, at least most of us probably aren't. And it's in those moments where we become aware of our breath, in whatever situation we happen to be in, whatever circumstance. And in those moments of awareness, we then have the opportunity to switch the breath or transition the breath.
Relax. I'm sorry, I got a little yawn there. I'm like,
Yeah, no, it always brings me into like a really calm state as well. I noticed that like both of us are speaking slower and softer.
Very, very beautiful. Yeah. So this is something, the more people engage with this kind of thing, Greg, it sounds like the more self-healing power that they're mining from themselves, right? Is that the idea? That's so great.
Yeah, definitely. And so the more that you do these different practices that activate the parasympathetic states or the vagus nerve, the more that the body's natural healing capabilities are able to come online. And so your body is infinitely powerful and can recover and heal from, in my opinion, anything. And it's just having that commitment to yourself, to your health, and then also just that commitment to whatever the practice that resonates most for you, using that practice to guide you into deeper states of yourself.
Yeah, I think finding what fits for you, wherever you guys are at this moment. I mean, it's funny, well, it's such an important topic. Just this week, I gave a talk about, using, patching to activate the vagus and to upregulate your parasympathetic. And then another one of the coaches that I recently interviewed also is combining resonant therapies with, yoga, right, which is breathing. Really, yoga is postures, but more importantly is what's happening with the breath. I think I'm not I'm a casual yoga person, but and then combining that with homeopathy, another resonant type therapy, and that was really interesting. But this has been so special, and I'm deeply grateful to you sharing your gifts with your presence, that beautiful, calm presence that is, I know has helped a lot of people who are watching this video. I know I feel more relaxed. I hope all you guys watching did the breath work with us. And we'll put the link below so people will be able to reach out to you. And I'm just so happy that we have reconnected. And so what we're going to do, we're going to say goodbye until the next time. Maybe we'll do something together on a bigger scale, like a workshop or something for people. That'd be so fun.
Yes, I would love that.
Any last way that you want to reach out to people in terms of how they can connect with you, or anything like that we want to talk about?
Definitely. So I do a lot of my, promotions and advertising for different events and stuff like that on Instagram.
Okay.
And so my Instagram handle is at True Health Awakening.
Okay.
My website also has all of the different breathwork offerings, coaching offerings, and that is called truehealthawakening.com. And in the very near future, 30 days of breath connection will be posted on that website as well. And so if people are maybe curious about how they can use the breath in their daily life through these simple practices to really awaken that profound healing capability of their body, this course is an amazing little program to allow you to experience different breathing techniques to activate those parasympathetic states.
Yay. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much again. And you guys, we will see you all later. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Goggin. And thank you for all the work that you do as well.
We're so